Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Redtail Technology Continuing Education. Today, we are going to be focusing on segmenting your book. It's a big focus on the foundation of your Redtail. We're talking about contact statuses and the way that you create small, digestible chunks. That's the real focus of today. So without further ado, let's get started. My name is Jeremy. Part of one of the Redtail trainers, part of RTU. If any of you have been to those, highly or haven't been, I highly recommend you go. And for those that have come, thank you so much for being a part of it. Otherwise, let's get started here. So first and foremost, we need to talk about the most basic lines of segmentation within Redtail. And those most basic lines of segmentation include statuses and categories. Now, we don't include type because type really is an individual, it's a business, it's a trust, a union, or an association. That is chosen automatically. When we get into statuses and categories, we get into the things that you can customize yourself. So let's just take a quick look at a contact record. Here we go. We'll go ahead and bring up Barry Allen here. Now, if we take a look at Barry Allen's details over here on the right-hand side, we're going to notice that you see status, category, source, all of these different lines in the sand, essentially, ways that we can go ahead and quarter him off along with other people that suit the same search results. That is the goal of a CRM, because a CRM, unless you do this kind of work beforehand, is only a digital Rolodex. And that's the moment that you are just kind of throwing money away. You can keep a spreadsheet of people with information, but what this does, it allows you to organize things and connect to technology and really utilize digestible data. So how do we get that going? So you click on your name up here on the top right and you click on Manage Your Account. That is going to take you into this admin only section here at the bottom, Manage Database Lists. So let's just talk about statuses in general. Statuses is the first level of organization. It's the highest level of organization outside of type. Again, that's the individual, business, trust, and union, association, etc. When we're talking about statuses, we're usually referring to active, inactive, deceased. It's your relationship status with the contact in your database. It could be prospect, okay? It's really simple stuff. It's just that top layer. So keep in mind, you're going to have anywhere between 3 and maybe 7 statuses. And starting from that point is a good way to just kind of just look at your contacts in a very objective standpoint and say, okay, well, this person is obviously a client, whereas this person is no longer a client. It's good to have that information for the sake of historical data. So you can take a look at your list of how many actives versus how many inactives you have now. And you can compare those numbers to what it was a year ago, things of that nature. And then you could find holes in your issue or in your practice. So that overall is the purpose of status. It's that top layer, and it's something you really want to consider keeping it very simple. Now, staying the lines of keeping it simple, let's hop into categories, which is the next layer down. We recommend categories as a way to rank your statuses. So there are there are people who use categories that are very, here's the pitfall here. Don't get too specific generally. You want to find a way that ranking makes sense. Now, for a lot of people, it just is a matter of how, the level of assets that a customer has with you. That might determine whether somebody is gold, silver, or bronze. Or in our case, we have A, AA, and AAA. We always recommend you keep your categorizations fairly ambiguous, especially in regards to your active clients, because you never know when a client is going to see your screen. And if there's gold, silver, bronze, and then somebody sees that their actually category is wood, well, that wouldn't be exactly a very positive thing. So again, little things like C and bronze, that kind of stuff, no one likes to be a bronze. So just from a general perspective, guys, try to keep it ambiguous. We've had people use mountain ranges. We've had people use TV shows in the order that they like. It really just depends on how you want to rank it. Now, as far as the other ranks, usually speaking, you have 1, potentially up to 3 different categories per status. Now, if you have only one category for a status, you don't necessarily need to categorize them. Like a child of a client doesn't necessarily need, like let's say you have status dependent. You don't necessarily need child of client as a category. We have it in here if as an example if you want to do it. But if you have multiple rankings of any one thing, you're going to have at least two. So that way you can segment down. So you could say, I want to find my active AAA clients, or my active AA clients, or my active A clients, or my inactive AAA clients. So I can do a cross comparison to existing business to non-existing business. So that's categories again. So we start with status, which is the top layer, and then we move down to categories, which ranks that top layer. Very popular: prospect, with hot, cold, and lost underneath those. So don't take what I have in front of my screen here as the most effective, as what yours should be. We always recommend you kind of find your own. That is the best thing that I could recommend everybody do, is take a look at what you have, what is relevant, and apply it yourself. So brainstorm, work with people to really narrow that down. And I like to use a visual aid. I like to use something like this. This is called Glyphy. It's a free program that's available online if you want to try it out. But if you have a whiteboard with some markers, that's going to work too. I just use this because it's digital. But kind of there now. So we have active with gold, silver, and bronze. That's like the total capability right there in terms of what that status is. And that way you have a visual perspective before you put it into the system. Next, we're going to talk about is keywords. So right here, we have our keywords. Keywords, generally speaking, we say answers a yes or no question. And it's a fairly simple approach. But what we want to take into consideration is that you can use it for much more than that. You could use it for services with these little hyphenated things up here. 401k participant, 403b participant, a brokerage client, a fee-based client, because any one contact, unlike statuses and categories, can have as many keywords associated with it as you want. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing, because we can have our fee, like our standard services up here, but then we get down, we have more interesting things like golf and wine. And there are some good examples here about how that can be used from an important way, and we'll get to that as we go through. But just keep in mind, keywords, you can have as many assignments as you want, but they just make an association with somebody. And they're searchable with everything that we've talked about so far. Now, the last bit of the major levels of organization here, we have two more. One is sources and one is user-defined fields. So we're going to cover sources next. And sources, what they do, it's a good way to track where your business is coming from. That is the purpose of it. So that way, all of your marketing efforts that you guys are putting forth, you guys can see where it is that you are actually generating your business from. Are they coming from social media? Are they coming from your website? Are they coming from an ad that you put somewhere, or a radio ad? There's any number of possibilities that exist out there for marketing in terms of where people are going to come from. So what you really, really want to focus on in terms of sources is what is relevant. Again, don't take my list and copy and paste it. Take what the way you currently recruit clients, and put it into your system, into your clients, so that you can look back at your data and say, oh, well, I'm getting 90% of my clients from this center of influence. Maybe we need to really try to push that relationship even higher. So those are the kinds of things that you want to take in consideration when it comes to sources. Now, the last bit for just this, the overall what's in front of us, is the user-defined fields. User-defined fields give you the ability to include any text modifiers, which are really nice. And now you could have as many user-defined fields on one person, and you could do any text. You could do true or false. You could do list of values. So that way you're all right, and yes or no. But that way, the purpose here is that you're assigning them something that you can track. Now, here's the caveat when it comes to user-defined fields. You can only search user-defined fields based off of reports, not advanced search. Advanced search can go through everything but user-defined fields. So if we were just to take a quick glance at value statements here in terms of using user-defined fields, we come down to reports here on the left, head down to UDF reports right here, contact user-defined fields. Now, this may be something fairly silly, But a lot of people that I speak with invite their people in, invite their clients in, and have coffee made and prepared exactly the way they like it. So what you could do is you can create a coffee preference any text field, hit apply filter, and what that's going to do, it's going to give me a list of people and what it is that what they have. Now this is from a reportable standpoint, but from the individual perspective, you can go ahead and bring up a contact. We'll actually just open up Bruce Wayne here. If we're in his record, all we would have to do is hit more and go down to UDFs, which is where it replaces more. And then you can see coffee preference, black 2 sugars. And so you can quickly see exactly what it is, how you set it up, all from within the contact record. But again, UDFs, these types of organization aren't going to give you searchable results from advanced search, only from reports. And again, that's reports, UDF reports, contact user defined fields. That's what you want to look for. Now you could use it for more. Now there's like a lot of people will use it for the sake of setting up newsletters. So you can set up newsletters with multiple abilities to find what kind of newsletters they want. So you can set up annual, biannual, monthly. So maybe I'm doing my monthly newsletter and I want to find all of my contacts who are signed up for my monthly newsletter. Well, then here's my UDS by contact report where I have all of those people. I could use my send to search. And from there, I can send them over to Constant Contact or MailChimp, or do quick messaging from a broadcast email. It's up to you. So those are UDFs. Again, they kind of stand on their own, but for the most part, it's a great way to organize data. You could accomplish almost the same thing with keywords that you can with UDFs, except for the AnyText. The AnyText is a really, really good one, especially for sillier things like coffee preference and whatnot. But you can keep more valid statements in there, like, I don't know, like login credentials for certain items that they want to give you, they have given you access to. You can create any number of possibilities using AnyText. Again, what's the goal of all this? The goal of using all of these pieces is to create segmentable and searchable data. So let's just talk about segmentable and searchable data. So here's a great situation. I like to golf and I want an excuse to spend my Fridays golfing, but also working. So that being the case, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to my advanced search. So contacts, advanced search. Now I already have this search created. So if I go down to lists and I hit quick lists, I can come down and so we have our top clients golf. Now what I'm doing as far as segmenting the data for this is I have contact status equal to active here at the top. I have contact category equal to AAA. So AAAs are my top level clients. My contact keyword is I've associated golf with them. And my last one is the portfolio balance. They have to have greater than or equal to $500,000 in portfolio value with me for me to go ahead and take them out and schmooze them with a game of golf. So that is just one powerful example, or even a silly example of how to use your segmented data. Let's talk about another possibility here. We have our list, we have our quick list. Maybe we just want to take people out wine tasting. It's the same concept. It's the exact same thing. All we did is we just changed the keyword to wine. And we have a couple of people who we would definitely take wine tasting. So again, it's just small bits, but let's just take into consideration other things. So let's just do advanced search and let's do something from scratch here. So we could do contact and we could do status and we could do equal to, and let's hop into prospects. Okay, so let's go prospect, we can run. Okay, so we have our list of prospects. We have a bunch of hot, we have a few cold, but I just want to see what's hot so I can maybe get a marketing campaign over to them. So contact category equal to, and we're going to come down to hot. Go ahead and hit run. And that's going to go ahead and give us a 13 records instead of the 20-something records I had before. And from here, I can say, oh, well, what I'm going to go ahead and do is do a search or I'm going to select them and I can go ahead and use my contact options. And from here, I can go into bulk actions and do whatever it is I want. Maybe I'm going to send this list to constant contacts, so I can go ahead and do a mailer out to them. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick mail for me. Or maybe I'm going to do an automated drip campaign using a different marketing platform. Like, there are a lot of different things that you could use to really take advantage of this data that you can segment. So let's talk about other examples that we could do. So we drop this. Maybe we don't want to talk about prospects. Maybe we want to go into our active clients. Yes, very important. Okay, run our actives, and let's trim it down a little bit more, because that's going to be a couple hundred clients, quite a number of records here. Well, I need a little bit more. And maybe it is I want to focus on my mid-level business. I want to get more of their assets into my top clients. So I'm going to go ahead and do contact category equal to AA, and that's my middle of the road. So how many AAs do I have? It's going to probably come down to about 82 records. Boom. And from here I can say, okay, a lot of these are referrals. So maybe I want to include specifically which source that I want to go ahead and bring up, because I'm using source effectively. So jump in here, equal to, and we're going to go ahead and say referral and run that, because referrals, they're my people's people. They're my customers' friends and individuals that they have specifically referred. So I can go ahead and track them down. We also have Arizona or locations here over here on the right hand side. And if you're in a specific area, maybe you just want to target like one zip code. Maybe you just want to target one city. You have that ability with the segmented data that you have developed. That's an incredibly important thing. Flexing your muscles in a CRM means having the ability to drill down and find specifically the contacts you want, especially when it comes to marketing. But as far as historical data is concerned and looking forward to a brighter future, you always want to take a look and say, oh, well, I have this many clients in this region, but I'm lacking in this region. Maybe I'm going to specifically target, put in a little bit more effort in generating relationships over in this region. And then you can turn those prospects into clients. So really that is, and we're keeping it short today, guys, because the concepts of what we're trying to do is taking the data that you have and really taking advantage of what is available to you. I don't want to just come in here and just type in a name and always just bring up a contact. And yeah, that's the base function. Go into a contact, add a note, review their history and whatnot. That's great. That's what a lot of people use this for. But as far as trimming that data down, as far as finding ways to push your relationships outward, that's all data segmentation. It's all about finding digestible chunks of data that are going to help you there, so you can communicate effectively. A CRM means client relationship management. That's what that stands for. And the purpose of communicating with people is to generate these details so that you have the ability to find them in your database. A lot of people are going to perceive a lot of things very differently. And so if you can narrow it down to people like golf people or football people or basketball people, and then talk to them specifically about maybe you don't bring that up in your next conversation. That is the kind of thing you want to talk about with people, just to talk about anything outside of just business, because a lot of times people want to talk with another person. It's simple as that. When I talk to people who want to call in for training, they don't want to watch a video I have available for them. They want to have an actual conversation with me, and I don't blame them. That's a great way people learn, because you can ask questions and have a good time and have a personalized relationship, regardless of whether it's over a phone or not. So again, guys, you have the ability to take data and to chop it down into small pieces so that you can effectively market and communicate with others. And that is the true power of a CRM. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang out, answer some questions for you if you have anything. If you want examples, we might be able to drum up some. But otherwise, you can always contact our training department, training@redtailtechnology.com. or going through the support queue, they'll always go ahead and send you our ways. But otherwise, thank you all for attending. Have a great weekend. Have a wonderful day, and take care.